Hey Ram fam, it's time for Ramzone. Now to our host.
Welcome back, Ram fam. Welcome to this week's episode of Ramzone. Today I have with us head softball coach Travis Scott. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Doing good. Well, I hope you had a great weekend beforehand. I know y'all didn't have to play over the weekend, so I hope you had a great one with that. And kind of talking about the games this past week, y'all played Wednesday and Thursday. Will you kind of tell us how these matchups went?
So we played UTPB Wednesday and Thursday. We played at their place on Wednesday, a doubleheader, and started off really good. They scored a few runs early on us. No, they didn't. I take that back. It's hard to keep up with 4 games sometimes in 2 days. We jumped on them early and then just kept scoring throughout the whole game. They added some runs late, so had some big offensive performances out of a lot of kids. Kylie Forney was 4 for 4. Tatiana Trotter was 4 for 4. Zoe hit a home run. We just had a really good start, and I think we won that one 13-5. And in game 2, Bree Waters. We gave Bree Waters a start in the circle, and she was really sharp. It was really exciting to watch her go out. She's been limited a little bit on her innings this year, and she went out and gave us a really good start through a complete game. Only allowed 3 hits, and the offense continued to roll. We won that one 10-0 in 5 innings. So really good. Got some food, got on the bus, got home, went to class, and played again on Thursday. Played here last Thursday at 5 o'clock start, and we jumped on them from the get-go. Huge offensive performances out of our girls. Again, we scored up and down the lineup all day. Ended up winning that one 17-2. And then in game 4, their pitcher, they've got their best pitcher. She's a sophomore. She threw the day before in game 1, and we scored 13 on her because she can be that way. But then she can also be the way she was in game 4, where it's not over the middle, but it's in good location, and she had good control that day, and we just couldn't get the big hits that we needed, and we ended up dropping that game 3-2. So a little disappointing way to end. There's no doubt about it. That's a team that we needed to get 4 wins off of. We're trying to win a conference championship. We got some help from UT Tyler the night before. They swept West Texas A&M, which really put us 1 game out of first place, and dropping that one now has us 2 games out of first place, but still, 16 games to go, I think, in conference plays. So hopefully we can just continue to play good softball, get on hot, and stay on a run, not drop anything that we're supposed to, and try to be in it there at the end.
So kind of how would you describe, I guess, do you think it was mostly because of their pitcher, kind of how, y'all have 17-2 just between the 2 games?
It's hard sometimes. I've seen it many a times over the years where you go out and blow somebody out, and you lose a little bit of focus. There's a little bit of letdown. The starters usually go to the bench, and we make sure that we get our reserve players in and get them a couple of innings, and so they're setting for a little bit longer than normal between games. But we talked about it. We knew that kid was capable of doing what she did to us, but we got after her the day before. I think we had 16 hits off of her the day before. But she was sharp. She threw the ball really well in that game. She hit her spots. We hit some balls hard that, the wind probably held up 2 balls that could have been home runs, and then they made a couple of really good plays that they hadn't made in the previous 3 games, and they just had 1 inning where they put some hits together and scored 3, and that was enough for them to win it. But we had our chances. We made it a 3-2 game in the 6th. Had a runner on third with 1 out, and didn't get her in, and then in the 7th we ended up with a runner on second and 1 out. She moved to third, and just couldn't quite get the big hit that we needed there to tie it up. And I felt like if we would have tied up, we'd have won. But that's the way the game goes, and we just got to try to bury it. It was tough pill to swallow, but we got to put it away and get ready to move forward.
So kind of in those games, when you're trying to make adjustments, how do you manage that?
Well, it's just the game, It's just something that you deal with all your life. When a kid's having a good game, you got to try to figure out what she's doing to be effective, and a lot of the times it's laying off of a pitch that's just out of the zone. And in that game, she had her rise ball at the good height. It wasn't the day before; she was throwing it real high, so it was easy to see and easy to lay off of. In that game, she was throwing it chest high, shoulder height, where it looks good out of her hand, and just had a creeped up a little bit, to be able to get you to entice you to swing, but yet still hard to square up. And then her curveball was much better than the day before. The day before, she left it over the middle of the plate, and we made her pay for it. And in Game 4, she was getting it out, on the edge of the plate, just out of the zone. So credit to her. She did a really good job, and they played some defense behind her. It's just it is what it is. It's the nature of sports. When that, after Game 1, that scoreboard goes back to 0-0, and you gotta make sure that at the end of 7 you're on the top, and we just weren't able to do it that day.
Right. So kind of what are you looking forward to going forward now?
Well, it's just continued to move forward. We've had a great year. We're sitting at 30-9 right now, 18-5, I think, in conference play. We're 2 games out of first place. We got 2 teams right ahead of us that have 4 losses. We have 5 losses, and WT has 3 losses. So we finished the season with WT at their place. So that could be a big series. But we just got to take it one game at a time and focus on the task ahead, which right now is Western New Mexico and Sul Ross. We have them here this weekend. Western is a team that can swing it, but they're struggling in the pitching circle to get people out. So we just got to make sure we continue to play good defense, which we did this past weekend. Get our pitchers to be effective, and then get the big hits that we need.
Do you think that y'all's offense is kind of at its peak right now, or do you think that there's still a lot more it needs to get done?
No, we kind of hit a little bit of a funk, actually. We were really sharp early on and just kept getting better. And then we kind of hit a little spell, which happens nearly every year, where we just didn't get the big hits that we needed. We weren't swinging it the way we were supposed to. And we worked really hard last week on some focused hitting in BP, and it helped. I thought we had really good at-bats over the weekend against UTPB and scored a lot of runs, had a huge hit. I think we raised our team batting average by about 20 points. So hopefully we can carry that on, continuing to do that and cut down the strikeouts, cut down the chase out of the zone pitches, and make them throw strikes to beat us. But we're doing a lot of things really good still. And hopefully we can, we've got some teams here where we can get on a roll and continue to go, put up a lot of wins and try to stay in this race for a conference championship.
Right. And what about y'all's defense?
Yeah, playing good. We've played good all year for the most part. We've had some big errors at times that have cost us some runs, but overall really strong. The outfield in particular has been great, with Carly Manny in left and Tatiana Trotter in center. And then Cameron Leffler and Grayson Collins kind of sharing time in right field. They've been really good. The infield has been solid. Again, we've made a few mistakes, but we've also made some great plays. And then, we got one of the better catchers in the conference in Abby Brand behind the plate. And it's good. All's good there.
Right. And so speaking of Tatiana Trotter, she just set the triples record from this past thing. So what does that kind of mean for y'all's program?
Well, in my mind, the triple's the hardest thing to hit. You got to have the ability to get the thing in the gap. Then you got to have the speed to be able to get to third base before they can get it there. And she does have that ability. She inside outs the ball really well, keeps her hands in, goes to that right center field gap, which that's where the right side of the field is where you can hit triples. It's hard to get a triple to the left side of the field because it's an easier throw to third. And then she's got good speed. She may not look like she's a speed kid, but she can really run and just has a great ability to go the other way with power. So, yeah, that's a big number. Madison Greenwell, who, was on our 2017 and 18 World Series teams. She was a 4-year starter in the leadoff spot for us, a great player. I wasn't really for sure if anybody would be able to catch that number. If you break a record in Angelo State softball, you've done something, because we've had so many great players that have put up big numbers over the years that it's a huge accomplishment to be able to set a record here in this program. And Tatiana, I'm proud of her. And the good thing about it is we got another month and a half, 2 months to go. Hopefully she can end up with 25 or 28 triples. That would be great.
Right. So how do you think that Tati's developed since being in the program?
Well, she's just worked. Her freshman year was a struggle, which it is for a lot of girls coming from high school to college. And then, she had some upperclassmen that may have led her the wrong way a little bit. But she's continued to work. She's put in the time. She's gone on her own to the cages and and put in her work and just continued to develop and continued to ask questions and take in all the information, watches her video, does all the things that you need to be successful. She had a huge sophomore year, if I think that's right, where she broke the single season triple record. So that was good, and then she just continued to roll and be a leader for us.
So, well, that's awesome. I mean, that's a really cool thing for somebody to be able to do. And like you said, it's such a big kind of thing to break a record, especially since softball has been good at ASU for a really long time.
It may be because she was your high school teammate.
Maybe that too.
Maybe you taught her a thing or two.
Right. I think she would not appreciate that. I tried softball as a kid, and I was not good at it at all.
Yeah.
I stuck with basketball.
There you go.
But yeah, and so that's really cool to see something else too. And like I said, like you said with ASU, it's such a big thing here is softball.
Yeah.
And we have really good sports just kind of all around.
Right.
And so kind of what are y'all looking towards to improving to y'all's next upcoming games?
Just continuing to do what we do. We've got all the elements to be great, and we are a really, really good team, and we just got to cut out that one game where things don't go right and eliminate that, and we'll be good. But we've got Western New Mexico, like I said, and Sul Ross, two teams that are Sul Ross in particular, they're struggling to win games. I think they've only won 6 games all year. But they've had some games here lately where they've pushed some teams. They actually beat Texas Women's 7-2 a few weeks ago, which Texas Women's has a good team. They played Cameron to a 2-1 game, I think, the other day. So we can't take anybody lightly in the conference because it's arguably the strongest conference in the country in Division II, and Western New Mexico is a team that hits the ball really well. They've got 53 home runs. Now the ball carries at their place a lot because they're up in elevation, so the ball does fly there. But luckily we got them here. We don't have to get on that bus again right now, so that's always a good thing. And then I think after that we go to St. Ed, St. Mary's. Not too far of a trip. So, when you look at the big picture of the Lone Star Conference geographically, Austin and San Antonio are pretty easy trips. So that'll be good for us. We had a long trip down to Kingsville, and we had a long trip to Oklahoma City. So it'll be nice to be able to not have those long trips coming up to keep the bodies a little more healthy, and hopefully we can string a 10 wins together and let the other ones at the top hopefully beat each other and find ourselves right there in the top of the rankings hopefully. But we got to just take it one game at a time. Coach's cliche, can't look ahead. I look ahead because it's just part of it. But ultimately when it comes down to it, we just got to focus on who's next.
So it sounds like you just know a lot of stats kind of all about the other teams that are playing and your teams.
Maybe obsessed a little bit. Yeah.
And that kind of goes to just like a random question of how often are you thinking about softball?
Let's see. What's at practice this afternoon? It's all the time. I like to be able to flip that switch and click it off, but especially when your wife is your associate head coach, so we never get away from it. Sitting around this weekend, it was just like, well, we got to do this, and we should have done that, and we need to do that. Oh yeah, happy Easter, glad y'all over, But it's one of those things where it's always there, and you got recruiting if you don't have the actual games, you got practice if you don't have the game day, and all the kinds of stuff that comes along with it, making sure everybody's on the same page, make sure everybody's going to class, disciplinary issues that you may have to deal with that you don't want to. Is everybody registered for classes? It's never ending and it never stops, but there's nothing else I'd rather do.
And so this, maybe you don't, but do you have anything that you like to do outside of softball?
Not much. I don't golf. I guess just, be with the kids and be with the grandkids and just have a little bit of downtime here and there. But, our little one right now, he's into putt-putt golf. So that's what we're kind of doing for fun and playing in the backyard with him and just being a dad and raising a family.
Right. And so are they coming on these long trips with y'all since it's, you and your wife?
We take him sometimes, but, luckily my mom lives here in town and she takes care of him. And then my wife's family is actually in town right now from Ohio. They're here for 5 weeks to help out my mom, and So that's a big help. But yeah, he's kind of getting to the age where we can take him and he doesn't stress us out quite as much as it was when he was younger. So he's enjoying it. He enjoys being around these girls. These girls have been awesome. He comes to practice nearly every day now, and they've been great. Taking care of him at the practice field and at the ballpark. And the way I've looked at it, there's no better place than to be raised than out on the field.
Right. Do you think that he kind of looks up to some of these girls and what they're doing?
Yeah, he may not admit it, but he's learning from them. There's 100% fact there, because he won't let me coach him, and I don't have the patience to do it. So it's nice. We never could get him to use his glove, and he just wanted to catch everything barehanded, which is good. But at some point, you got to get the glove on, and now that he's at the field and he's out there during our batting practice, they'll take him out there, but they told him you got to get your glove on. So now he loves to wear his glove, and so he's learning from them, and I think they enjoy having him around.
Not hearing it from dad or mom is a lot easier.
It's a great thing.
It's oh well, if they said it, then that means like it has to be true.
Right,
Whether
exactly.
you've said it 1,000 times,
exactly,
it doesn't matter.
Yep.
So does he play at baseball?
Not yet. We don't do the t-ball thing in my family. So again, my kids have been fortunate to grow up on the field.
Right.
So that's where they've done their learning. But more than likely next year he'll get introduced into team athletics.
All of a sudden, you see the entire Angelo State softball team showing up to these games.
Yeah, it's possible. They're good kids and they like to support him. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that was something cool. I remember from middle school, as we had sometimes the high school girls basketball would come and watch us play, and we always thought that we were the coolest thing in the world because they showed up to our random game.
Yeah. Well, it's what we tell these girls all the time is you got to remember the influence you're having on these other kids. We had a Little League team show up at our game on Thursday night, and man, they were awesome, created a lot of energy. It was great to have them there, and after the game, they came out and they had balls and had the girls sign their ball and ran the bases with them and stuff like that. So, these college athletes are looked up to and by these younger kids, and it just makes the experience that much more special for an athlete.
What do you think one of your favorite community kind of memories has been with your team?
Oh, it's a tough question. We've spent some time with the Home Run for Heroes, so it's special need kids that they had a little league that they were playing out the. I'm not real sure who was in charge of it, to be honest with you, but I think it might have been San Angelo Recreation. But that was pretty cool, going out and working with the special needs kids. But anytime the girls are around, the kids are around, and bring that energy and get to run bases with them and watch their eyes light up when they look up to their college, idols, I guess you could say, and get autographs and all that, and have a conversation with them. That's pretty cool.
Right. Is that something that you kind of prepare them for, when they're kind of coming in from high school? Sometimes they don't necessarily have these same experiences. Is that something?
We talk about it a little bit, but they're just good people in general, so we don't really have to prepare them for it. I don't have to tell them to be on their best behavior because they're just good. They're good people as it goes, and in general. So, a lot of community support, and it's just it's what makes San Angelo pretty special.
Right. San Angelo is definitely very good for that community aspect. I think that's something that we hear a lot about. How often do you think that y'all have how often do you think that your crowd kind of impacts your games?
Oh, definitely. There's no doubt about it. It's a long season. You play a lot of games, and if things aren't going great and you don't get any energy from the field, from the bleachers, it can kind of play onto it. So that community that boost from the bleachers, and hearing that ASU chant, and just clapping hands in general, standing up, and just not just being there, but actually being a part of it is huge for our team. And there's days where we'll have more fans on the road than the home team will, and that's got to be a little bit intimidating for the home team to see that much blue and gold in the bleachers, and especially when they're up and being energetic. That makes it better for our girls to be able to get up and go play.
Right. And I was going to ask you about that away games, if you think that necessarily impacts y'all, but it sounds like y'all have a lot of people following. So
well, our parents travel well, and they always have, but there's some places that you go play where they've got huge crowds, and and it can play on you in the negative way. So to have that blue and gold up there supporting you even if they're not able to be as loud as the home team, at least, you get that energy from them, and you know that, you got people who are rooting for you up in bleachers is big. And, I wish we could get even more of it at home, and I wish our student body would come out more than it does, to be honest with you. And it'd be nice to see more of the college-age kids in the bleachers enjoying themselves and having a good time.
How do you kind of keep your girls from listening? I mean, obviously you want to listen to some of the bleachers, like you said, the fun chants and things like that, but also not hear the negative things. Kind of how do you teach that?
Yeah. Again, I don't think we have to deal with it a whole lot, but there's times, where we get people that show up out of nowhere and they want to try to coach from the side there, and and there's been a few times where I've had to go over and go, listen, I appreciate you being here, but stop coaching our girls, and just let them go play. But it's not something that we deal with very much of, and it's usually all positive, and we're not the big time schools where we have that social media aspect where people are bashing on social media like you do at the big Power 4 schools. So that's a good thing, because that would be tough to deal with as a coach and an athlete, constantly hearing people complain about things. And
right.
So luckily that's not something that we have to deal with a whole lot.
Well, good. I'm glad that that's at least something that our smaller community can kind of help out with.
Exactly.
Well, good. What do you think that makes this team specifically kind of more unique than some of your past teams? Anything?
Probably not. In general, they're just, they do work hard. They do what we ask them to do. They are very coachable. They have a great team chemistry. But we've had a lot of teams that way, so that doesn't make them unique and special, but it also, I don't take it for granted. Coach K and I tell them all the time how much we appreciate what they're doing, and that we appreciate their attentiveness and their ability to do something different and try something different that we think may help them. And again, nothing unique, but something that we also don't take for granted.
And we've talked kind of a lot of ranking throughout this kind of whole conversation. Do you think that kind of reflects where you think y'all are, like, as a team?
Yeah, I mean, we've been in the top 10 all year. We, got as high as number 4 and stood at that number 7 spot for a long time. But we're probably going to, we dropped to 12 after the 2 losses last week. We're probably going to drop to maybe down in the 20s or maybe completely out after the UTPB loss. But ultimately, it doesn't matter. The conference standings, the regional rankings that'll come out at the end of the year, that's the most important thing, not the national rankings. And we still should be in pretty good shape in both of those. We've had a good strength of schedule. So there's a number called a KPI that we use. It's kind of like an RPI, but it's a different one. It's called a KPI. We were the top team in our region last week, barely. I mean, there were a couple teams that are in our region right below us. So we'll see how that all pans out. Strength of schedule is going to drop a little bit, playing UTPB 4 times and Sul Ross in western New Mexico because they are below 500. So that'll hurt that number a little bit, but we need to win those games. And, the UTPB loss is a big negative for us, but at the same time, we just got to continue to move forward and go play.
Right. Can you kind of expand a little bit on the KPI thing you were talking about?
Well, it's just a power index, and it takes each game and it gives it a number. It can be a positive number or it can be a negative number. So it matters if you're on the road, it matters if you're at home or a neutral site, their strength of schedule when you played them. I think how you won also plays a factor. I'm not 100% sure how they come up with the number, but you could gain maybe a 1.8 in a game, or you could go to a negative 0.2 in a game. So it's kind of a weird formula. I don't know how they came up with it, but I don't know all the ins and outs of it. I just know, okay, you need to schedule well and try to have a good strength schedule, and then you need to go win games. And luckily, we've been able to do those 2 things.
Right. So kind of how are you getting your girls ready throughout this next week?
Well, they got some rest, Like I said, we played Wednesday, Thursday, so they got Friday, Saturday, Sunday off for Easter, and we'll get back at it, today, Monday, and Tuesday, and then we'll have to give them Wednesday off because we have to give them 1 day off and in the week, and then we'll come back and practice Thursday and play Friday. So we just need a good week of preparation this week, and get back out there and get back after it. Luckily, we're at home, so we don't have to travel. And this time of year, having that time off can be refreshing for them. We do have some people that are dealing with some injuries, and hopefully they come back a little bit better shape than they were when they left on Thursday, and get healthy and get ready to get after it.
Right. And so will you kind of let us know a little bit more about these games coming up? You said they're at home, what times they are, and get people out there?
Yeah, Friday with Western New Mexico, it's a 4 o'clock start, so 4 and 6:30. So we'll be at the field. I mean, I know a lot of people may say 4 o'clock, and they're like, well, I can't be there at 4. Well, we're there until 8:30. It takes a while to play a doubleheader. So, that'll happen Thursday, and then Sunday, we're scheduled for 1 o'clock right now, 1 and 3:30. There is a chance of rain this weekend, so I just encourage everybody to keep up with the social media and angelosports.com, and in case we have to move days or move times in this based on the weather. But we'll take all the rain we can get here in San Angelo, but at the same time we need to be able to get these games in.
Right. Well, is there anything else you kind of like to add about the team or the games or anything?
No, I think I'm good.
I think that's great too.
All
Well, Coach,
right.
thank you so much for coming out and hanging out with us
Thanks,
today.
Katie.
And thank y'all so much, and we will see you next week.